In a shocking development, the Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC superstar Nate Diaz has publicly asked for his exclusive contract with the promotion to be terminated immediately. This has come after Diaz has not gotten in a fight in more than 7 months, despite repeatedly asking the promotion for one. In today's video, we'll be discussing the circumstances leading to Diaz's very public demand for contract termination. Stay tuned. First up, we have the tweet. Tagging the accounts of the UFC and Dana White, the president of UFC, in his tweet, Diaz took to social media to put forward his request, or demand depending on how you look at it. He also tagged UFC's chief business officer, Hunter Campbell. At least he thought he did, because he ended up tagging some random Twitter user instead. In his tweet, the 36-year-old UFC icon said that he wanted to be released from his contract with the UFC and said that he was sorry for doing this on social media, but he needs to do things, and the UFC has failed to get him a fight in a long while. When approached, Diaz's representatives were not immediately available for additional comments. This drastic tweet from Diaz has come only 3 days after he had written on social media that he had been trying to get a fight for the last 7 months. Diaz, 20-13, on the last of his UFC contract, has been increasingly vocal about his discontentment on social media in the last few months. He has repeatedly and openly expressed his desire to face former interim champion Dustin Poirier, welterweight contender Vicente Luque, and lightweight veteran Tony Ferguson, but there has yet to be a fight scheduled for him. According to insiders, the UFC and Diaz have discussed extending his contract beyond the final bout left, but the two parties have been unable to strike an agreement. White has reiterated multiple times the promotion has been trying to schedule him in a bout. He previously also claimed in March 2022 that the chances of Diaz signing a new agreement with UFC were very good. Since facing a decision loss to welterweight Leon Edwards in June of 2021, Diaz, from Stockton, California, has yet to step into the octagon again. Immediately after the bout, he had indicated that he would try to stay active, but unfortunately for him, he has now been inactive for the last 9 months. After the fight against Edwards, Diaz was offered a bout against the rising welterweight contender Khamzat Chimaev, 10-0, by the UFC. Diaz ended up turning down the bout because of Chimaev's then lack of experience in the UFC. Diaz had said about the offer that he felt like it was an insult asking him to fight against a UFC rookie. Right now, as things stand, Chimaev is currently booked to go up against Gilbert, the second-ranked welterweight fighter in the UFC, on April 9th at UFC 273. Now, let's talk about Diaz's past in the UFC. Since 2007, Diaz has only competed in the UFC. He got his start in the mixed martial arts, MMA, as a competitor on the reality series called The Ultimate Fighter. His breakthrough moment in the UFC came in 2012, when he went up against Benson Henderson for the lightweight title fight. But it is his 2016 two-fight rivalry with Irish Conor McGregor which is today considered as one of the biggest and most famous in the history of MMA. Diaz, who has not had a good run of form in his last 5 bouts, coming up with just 1 win, with just 1 fight left on his contract, his consistent frustrations on social media do make sense because he wants to leave the promotion on a high and not a slump. What most MMA fans and pundits alike have been focusing on is that should Diaz end up inking a new deal with UFC, the world could see a thrilling, nail-biting trilogy fight against his old rival, UFC superstar Conor McGregor, who has himself not been in action for a long time. It was March 2016 that the two went up against each other for the first time, when Diaz had to come in place of Rafael dos Anjos, the former lightweight champion. He replaced dos Anjos on just 11 days' notice and put on a masterclass and had a submission win in just the second round via rear naked choke. The UFC booked them for a rematch 5 months later. McGregor won this time by majority decision, leaving Diaz and his team frustrated and dissatisfied. Next, viability of trilogy McGregor fight. The problem with a potential McGregor bout is that the Irishman has not as of yet set out a definitive date for his comeback to the octagon following a leg injury suffered in his second loss by technical knockout to Poirier in July. While the Irishman has stated that he would resume sparring in April, White has said that one of the UFC's greatest draws will likely not become a reality until the early fall. Diaz does not appear to be someone who's willing to wait another 6 months. So what does this mean for Jake Paul? With the recent developments in Diaz's UFC contract, Jake Paul has been sent a caution that says he needs a bout against Diaz to re-establish himself as a pay-per-view audience puller, something that is in doubt following his flop rematch with Tyrone Woodley. The YouTuber-turned-boxer has quickly established himself as one of the most well-known combatants in all of combat sports due to both his results and his words. He was forced to go up against ex-UFC champion Woodley for a second time when his highly anticipated bout with Tommy Fury failed to materialize in December. The bout certainly did not go as planned for Paul, as his fight bombed on the pay-per-view after a brief and uninteresting promotion. His stunning knockout victory against Woodley, on the other hand, managed to grab headlines across the world and went viral almost instantly. Millions of people have viewed the nasty right-hand punch to Woodley repeatedly over the following several months. He has since then been out of the ring, but has said that he'll be returning to the octagon in August 2022 for his first bout in more than 9 months. With his return to the ring nearly 4 months away, Kyle Sonnen, a UFC legend, has warned Paul that he's going to need Diaz to get back in control in terms of pay-per-view buys. Sonnen was speaking in a video he put out on his YouTube channel. He said that he believes that Paul could really benefit from Diaz at this point in time. He explained that one bad night does not merit panicking, but one bad night when you exist in the pay-per-view business is indeed a big problem. He then went on to analyze the power dynamics between the two right now, saying that the position Paul is in raises a question about who needs who more. Does Paul need Diaz more, or is it the other way around? He said that despite being very close friends with Diaz, he would have to admit that if he was to consider this question in context of May or August of last year, Paul would have been the bigger star in context of popularity and pull. Yet despite this huge compliment, he points out that in a year or so, this narrative is highly in doubt, and he says that it might not be true anymore. Lastly, Paul's rise in MMA. In 2021, Paul made a huge splash in MMA with 2 very successful pay-per-view fights against Ben Askren and Woodley in April and August respectively. The 2 fights reportedly had a combined total of nearly 2 million buys between them. Unfortunately for him, there was minimal public interest in his rematch with Woodley following his prior split decision win over him and the postponement of his bout against Fury. It was said to have sold barely 65,000 units in total on cable and satellite. The digital number of buys was projected to have reached the 6 figures, which was a far cry from the massive 500,000 people who had seen his August Woodley fight, or the more than 1 million who had seen his brother Logan's bout against Floyd Mayweather in June of 2021. At the moment, Paul is searching for the next fighter he wants to step into the ring against. If reports coming in are to be believed, then Diaz is sitting at the top of his list of potential opponents. With Diaz's UFC contract the only thing in the way of that blockbuster fight, the former lightweight champion contender was in attendance at Paul's most recent bout, but did not end up spending any time around the former YouTuber. Diaz was only there to show his support for Chris Avila, a teammate who was going up against Anthony Taylor, Paul's training partner. He did end up making headlines, though, when a brawl erupted at the weigh-ins, apparently a direct result of a spat between Diaz and AJ McKee, the Bellator promotion's featherweight champion. That's a wrap for this video. Will we see Diaz remain with the UFC promotion and have a third fight with McGregor? Or is this the end of a glorious UFC career? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.